Dead Gods, an anthology podcast by Fred Donnelly. Episode 1. This story is about a boy who didn't know what he was doing in life. All he knew was that he loved a few people very deeply, and that he sometimes felt so strange to be alive that it filled him with an electricity that seemed to discharge on everything around him. Pixel Moon. Poetry is truth, set out on the page like rows of ammunition. I feel the weight of my love for my life hanging behind my eyes. I try to share it with those who mean the most. A seahorse hangs in the deep, bright colour against dark black, moving barely perceptibly with the undulations of the current. The moon heaves on the oceans as it turns, locked in place. You swim for the surface, but never arrive. You forget which way is up and swim deeper now. You reach the floor, all shadows and sand. You push through. The surface beneath, crested, breached. You emerge out into a virgin sea, meeting the ocean at its deepest trench. You rise up and look toward a moon that is not our own. The white blocks above you control the tide. You are told this all your life. These are the rules of the simulation. You kick towards the surface. What else are you to do? Even as your face emerges from the depths and you breathe the cold night air, it is far beyond the sky, detail reduced to squares of approximation. See the stars behind it dance, and know that you have moved on. You breathe out and your held air curls hotly into the sky. A poem is a pixel moon, approximations of the complex beauty of reality. It is the correct response to finding ourselves where we are, I think. This is what we do now. Join us for a while, if you like. It's alright. Meanwhile, a man drives down to the coast. He knows he wants to be on the edge, but isn't sure what he wants to do next. It is raining, and there is a storm inside and out. He idles the car, steps out onto the grass, and looks the world squarely in the face. He feels the hard seawater blowing against his skin. Over the quiet raindrops falling, he can hear his breathing. It feels so small and pointless. A vague thirst difficult to sate. But then he feels the world growing, as he does. Slowly at first, and then rapidly expanding, blossoming out around him. He feels small now, and that feels good. His life feels softly distant for the first time in a long while. A feeling of being a smaller part of something bigger, that cares for nothing, but by merely being allows the chorus of smaller lives to burn brightly. He wanders outside his mind for a bit. He moves outward and down. It was all calling out to him. All he had to do was listen. He drifts below the crashing waves to join jellyfish hanging in the deep. No brains, just biology pulsing. He sees them in vivid detail moving heavily in bright cascades of colour 2 miles off the coast. He feels the scale and complexity of the universe then. Just barely. But in this moment he feels himself melt away into merely a single part of this much grander thing. He is hit with a sudden and very real sense of all the usually busy locations dark and silent overnight. Empty spaces waiting for tomorrow's activity as the minutes tick by, one by one. Rain falls where it hasn't for an age, and the people are so relieved to feel it on their dry faces. Rain continues to fall where it had been falling relentlessly for far too long, and the people prayed for it to end. A frog sits on a lily pad, and someone who is not quite a child sees it and remembers books from long ago, where the world truly seemed that simple. A plastic bag snared by a twisted branch struggles as the wind fills it like a cave with water at high tide. The surface of the moon, as real as stone, colossal and silent, while our planet wheels lazily across its sky. Far down in the recesses of spatial scale, the seemingly empty spaces boil with energy, as virtual particles leap through approximations of position in trends that describe the macro world. The ceaseless tides hammer away at the edges of continents, as far below the hot magma turns the engine of the world for eons. Far off across unimaginable swaths of mind-lurching distance, colossal stars burn intensely yet silently in the inky void, unaware of the tiny crawling things half a universe distant. A half-digested lump of animal carcass crawls slowly through the intestinal tract of a sleeping lion, momentarily resting its powerful body as it sleeps in the sun of the savannah, his cubs well fed and playing. Rows of neatly aligned bodies that once felt the grass under their feet are held tightly in soft earth below it, gradually breaking apart in the warmth and darkness, as brilliant flowers fueled by their trapped energy are born and thrust into the sky. Bright steel machines work efficiently and ceaselessly, constructing and assembling pieces with robotic precision, never hesitating or pausing through the long nights, units moving down production lines, growing in complexity until they are shipped across the earth. Trees spread their roots into the rich soil and reach branches towards the sky on a timescale almost invisible to us, engaged in a slow-motion war all around us. People fall in love, their brains flooding with chemicals that will change their lives forever, feeling every moment pass like sparks drifting into the air on hot currents. He gets back in his car. He drives away. The storm slowly clears and the sun shines through. The wind blows away over the edge of the cliff and far out to sea. Walk. I'm walking along a dark road, and I keep walking forwards because that seems to be the way I am supposed to go. I look behind me, and I see myself slightly younger, only by moments, walking into the me I am now. I look up, and I see the world and everyone in it, connected like a dense and tangled canopy, framing fractured pieces of sky so distant as to render all else inconsequential. It is enormous and yawning, and yet everything and everyone that never were is so much vaster and more sprawling than the things that are. Bright points shine out from it, and the light from them spread across mind-aching distances, tearing through space, eventually to land where I am. I look down and I see a frightened person, desperately alive, gently aching, and filled with the possibility of flaming joy. He is lying on a bed, with a black dog curled up against his chest, a bedside lamp shining on his face, a pile of dirty clothes strewn behind him. His eyes gently close in concentration. He is speaking words into a small electronic device that turns the vibrations from his mind that move out through the air around them, dissipating into the universe, into a coded language of electricity and light. A language that once communicated to another mind can be understood, perhaps even enjoyed. And this is the ultimate backdrop, the curtain behind even the yawning sky. For the place we inhabit now, both of us together in this moment, is a place on a stage constructed by the words of this person. I look back up and see the darkness in front of me. And just for a moment, a sliver of light from beneath lights the way, and I can finally see. I look within, and the story ends. They sit in a McDonald's by a quiet stretch of motorway. They are scrawling words into a notebook, hunched over. Occasionally they pause and stare out of the window. Slate grey English sky, thin grass and sloping hedgerows. Aggressively pedestrian, but cosmically astounding. Look around you and try to see it. Don't change what's before you, change yourself. Your perspective. Imagine seeing this as someone from the deep past. Crude tools, small communities, and the wild untamed world stretching forever about you, the only reality. What changes? What do you notice? Transport, industry, structures and systems sprawling complex and interconnected, pumping with the blood of people and information. They seem to notice their food, suddenly pulled from the realm of abstract wondering with a start. They begin to eat with the fervour of someone discovering food for the first time, with desperate mouth and stomach, sating a cavernous hunger they hadn't known they'd been carrying. Dead gods are the litter of fallen civilizations.